Hello everybody, welcome back to Hyper Lemon GT. Today we're going to be doing a FIA GT Manufacturers Championship, and obviously I've chosen to drive for Porsche, which other manufacturer would you choose to drive for? So the lineup, the grid is pretty strong. We have, I think, 8 SS drivers and 12 AS drivers on the grid, so a very strong lineup. There's the trophy that you can win. It's not the prettiest trophy, but nonetheless it is a trophy, and let's try to win it. So the circuit is Blue Moon Bay Raceway, a circuit I'm not really familiar with, but I've managed to qualify quite well. So let's have a look at the grid. So here's Miyata in the Ford GT, there's Mr. Hyper Lemon in the Porsche, obviously, and Aki Fuza in a Porsche as well, good choice. KA0 in a Mitsubishi HA3 1970, he's chosen the Renault. Shiba 48 in the Nissan GTR, and we have an Australian in a Citroen. Nobiki from Japan in the NSX, also another Japanese in a Mitsubishi, and Splisi, the Australian, in the Aston Martin. So I won't go through the rest of the grid, just the top 10 I think is enough. Now let's get down to the race. So it's a standing start. I don't really see these very frequently, and I haven't practiced standing starts, so let's go. So lights out and away we go. Pretty poor start there. Miyata has pulled away quite a lot, and I have a feeling I'm going to be overtaken by a couple of people now. But actually doing okay, P2, but the guy in the Porsche just got a nudge and he's right alongside me, and he's kind of giving me a nice solid nudge into the barrier. So now back in P6, P5 now. Okay, and there you go, that's Splisi. If you remember, this guy started in P10 and he's now up into P4, so he had a super good start. I had a pretty poor start, started in P2, now in P5. But anyway, let's get back past Splisi, just down the inside, quite an easy place to overtake in that corner, and up into P4. So now let's try and hunt down Nobiki. Sounds like a Japanese name really, but he's a Malaysian. And I just hit the barrier there, so that slowed me down quite a bit. And it's going to give the opportunity for Splisi to come back past me. And there he is alongside and past me. So not really any way I can defend this position. I can try and go around the outside, but it's not really a very good idea. And Splisi's held the position. So try to get back past him, should be okay. So if we get a good exit here, we can get alongside him and then past him on the hairpin. So pretty close to the back of him there, but get the inside line, and pretty easy move. So he tried to cut me off a bit, but that kind of hurt him more than it hurt me because I was on the inside. And he's getting aggressive. Good couple of nudges from him there, and he's passed me again. So I'm going to have to try and, well, all this battling is really slowing us down, because the more you battle, of course, the more you slow down, and the people behind you catch up, and the people in front are going to pull away. So it's quite important that we get past Splisi soon and hold that position. So I'm in his slipstream now, and I have the inside line, so it should be an easy overtaking move. A little bit sideways, had to come off the power. I get a bit defensive, so Spleesy gives me a little bit of a nudge, which helps me a bit. Okay, so now up into P4, and hopefully we can hold this position. And we can hunt down the Malaysian. So just skip to the next lap, and pretty close to the Malaysian now, who's going a bit wide at the hairpin, so really close to the back of him now. Have a look down the inside, but I don't think I can make it, so I kind of back down there. And the Malaysian has had a poor exit there, but I can't overtake on this corner, so I'm just going to have to try and get a really good exit, get in his slipstream, and then we can overtake him down the straight. So alongside him now, and just past him, and he ghosts out, so he must have to be serving his penalty. And now Spleesy's in my slipstream. I do a bit of a Verstappen on him and block him at the last second, so hold that position. So up into P3, and now we're going to try and hunt down Akifusa, who is 4 seconds in front. So it's going to be a tricky one to catch him, but we'll try. And skip 4 laps there, so end of lap 10 now. Got the gap down to 1.1 seconds. So reasonably good pace there, and he's decided to go into the pits. So I mean, pitting in a 21 lap race, you either pit lap 10 or 11. So I'm going to try and pit on lap 11 instead, and my fuel situation is pretty on the edge, so I got 1% fuel, and as we enter the pits, 0% fuel, so pretty much the tank is dry. And now if you notice, the other people coming into the pits, they seem to have a lot more fuel than me, so they got like between like 15 to 20% fuel, whereas I had 0, so I must be pretty fuel inefficient. We'll see how this turns out in the pits. So got just over 10 laps of fuel, and I come out in P5. So my pit stop was a lot longer than the others. I think we were 3 seconds in front of Spleesy before the pits, and after a couple of seconds behind him. Skip a couple of laps, and on the back of Shiba 48 now, and hairpin, he's blocking, but I'll keep that inside line. Give him a little nudge, but nothing aggressive, and we're past him. So now our favourite guy, Spleesy, we have to try and get past him again. So skip a couple of laps, and I have got quite close to the back of him, and he just runs out wide, so leaves me an easy overtaking move. And I just cut that last corner a little bit too much and get myself a 1.2 second penalty, which could be pretty poor, pretty bad in the end. It could change the race quite a bit. Okay, now this is my fastest lap, just to say what I did. So pretty aggressive on the entry there, but late entry, hit the apex, and then run out wide here. This one you really just like kind of turn in early, hit the first apex, just miss the second apex. And here you just got to keep the car nicely balanced and get a quick exit. Now coming into the hairpin, just brake straight and then a little bit of trail braking into the hairpin, hit the apex, get the power on as early as possible, keeping the car straight. This corner you miss the first apex, just clip the second one to try and get a decent exit, and then finally this corner, it's all about just basically how much can you cut the corner without getting a penalty. And then you've got to run out wide and do not hit the wall whatever you do. So there is pretty much the end of this lap, and lap time is a 1:08.8, so a little bit off the fastest lap time by 0.006 of a second. Okay, and I managed to gain on Akifusa, so just about half a second behind him now, and 2 laps to go. And I clipped the wall, and that's a really painful thing to do actually, because you saw I was just under half a second behind him, clipped the wall, and he's already 8/10 in front now, and I guess by the end of the straight it's probably going to be almost a second in front. So let's see if we can catch him. So if you remember, this was the guy that kind of nudged me off on the first lap. So I would really like to get back past him. Just under 8/10 of a second. But then I get a really poor exit there. It's just, I'm trying to push too hard, and when you try and push too hard, you make more mistakes. It's better just to kind of take it a little bit easier and make less mistakes. Okay, so now on to final lap. I couldn't catch him. We managed to pull away from Splisi quite a lot, so 6 seconds in front of him, and we gained on the leader, so just 3.5 seconds. But nonetheless, it looks like it's going to be a third and not a win. But considering the grid, I think the result was okay. 8 SS drivers and 12 A drivers, so pretty okay result. P3. So only Australians, Japanese seem to be left. Guess the Malaysian had to quit. And there we go, a third. So that gives us quite a lot of points, 1,300 for the championship. And join me again next week for the next race. Bye bye.